Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on November the 19th, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, we'll start off by looking at our calendar here. Okay, so in terms of data coming up, we do have monetary policy meeting minutes here for Australia. Reserve Bank of Australia has been kind of on the sidelines for the last little bit in terms of the monetary policy. So if they maintain the status quo, we shouldn't see too much of a difference in terms of a drop in Australian dollar or it going up. But if in the meeting minutes we see that the conversation has turned more dovish, they're concerned about US and China or just global economy, those things can be negative and we could see Australian dollar drop as a result. So if they cut the forecast for the economy or economic growth, I should say, or they start talking about further easing of the monetary policy, both of those will be negative for Australian dollar and we could see it drop. Other than that, coming up here on Tuesday, not too much data. We have trade balance and current account numbers out of the Euro zone here. If they come in below expectations here, that would be negative for Euro. Other than that, we are fairly it's a quiet day for data. We do have manufacturing sales out of Canada. Again, it's already supposed to be negative if it comes in below expectations. That will be negative for Canada. Building permits here and housing starts, these numbers have become important ever since the financial crash of 2008, 2009 there. So these numbers do make more of a difference now. So if we do see a drop in building permits, that is a sign that the economy is not doing as well, and which will mean that Fed may be cutting rates. So that is that will be negative for the US dollar. We also have FOMC member Williams speaking here. Again, we haven't seen too much of a change in what the Fed is basically, for what the Fed members have been saying. They have talked about holding the monetary policy steady, and if the economy drops, so basically they're very clear that the Fed is ready to act on that. So right now, the monetary policy is more based towards easing rather than rates going up. So if nothing changes from that stance, I don't expect to see much of a difference here. And we also have this GDT price index. This is the dairy prices. Dairy is a big industry in New Zealand. So if we see that these prices are below what the previous ones were here, then we could see a drop in New Zealand dollar here as well. And in the Asian session, we have trade balance numbers for Japan. If we see again a drop here, then if the numbers come in below expectations, that will be negative for Japanese yen. Japanese yen has been out of favor right now because of the comments that we've been hearing in regards to US and China. So we do have to pay attention to that. Now, today we saw some comments where there were some comments from China suggesting that they may just have the talks, but may not actually take much action till after the impeachment hearings. So we have more impeachment hearings coming up tomorrow. Keep an eye on those things because it can have an impact on the equity markets as well as the US dollar. So far, the markets have basically disregarded the impeachment hearings. But if there is something that comes out that's actually more the evidence that's a little stronger, we could see an impact. But for now, for the time being, the equity markets are totally disregarding the impeachment hearings. But again, we do need to keep an eye on that. And so basically, China said that they're going to wait till after the impeachment hearings are done, as well as they'll see how the elections go next year. So basically, we are looking at a drawn out trade war, essentially, where they'll toe the line, but we may not actually see much in terms of results. So any more comments like that will have a negative impact on the equity markets as well as the yen crosses. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is Brexit stuff is still going on. There were comments that Tory government will actually have the seats to pass the Brexit agreement. So that was positive for British pound. We saw British pound go up. Any further comments in that regard are likely to push the pound up as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So that's it for our news. Let's move on to our charts here. We'll start with euro dollar here. So in regards to the euro dollar, we have seen that price has actually price went up. So we are into resistance, but it is looking bullish right now. So bias is bullish for euro dollar. What I'd be looking at here would be the reaction at the high. So bullish bias, but we have a large pin here. And as we can see, price had reacted at this level again. So I'm looking for a move back into the high at 1.1090. If it stays below, but I would be looking for a drop back towards 1.1050. Now, should it go through, there is room to move to the next level here at 1.1100. So bias here is bullish for euro dollar. Okay, so bullish bias. Pound here. Pound, as we can see, has been bullish as well. Those comments in regards to Brexit were positive for the pound, and as a result, we have seen the British pound move up. So today's candle close is bullish, so I would look for a move higher towards 1.300, and this is where we could see a strong resistance come into play, because we are likely to get a double top type of formation there. So watch out for the reaction at that level. So bias here is bullish, and the move that I would look for here would be something like that. So watch out for the reaction at 1.300. But for now, bias is bullish for pound dollar. All right, Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar, we have a bit of a neutral candle, but still biased to the downside. So overall bias for Aussie dollar has been to the downside. And today we can see that price did try to go higher, but then it got stuck. And we have a neutral candle with bearishness in it. So I would look for price to drop, essentially looking for a move back towards 0.6770. That would be the first target. If it goes through, then we could see it move lower, but that will be our first target to the downside here. Now, I don't expect a lot of bullishness in the monetary policy statements, but should they say something that is more encouraging for the in terms of the growth numbers or anything, we could see Australian dollar go up. But right now, overall, based on technicals here, bias is to the downside. So we have seen this drop here, a pullback, and now looking for a move to the downside. That's what I'm expecting here. So bias here is bearish for Aussie dollar. First target 0.6770, second target 0.6720. So bearish bias for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one hasn't done a whole lot. Either it's getting stuck at this support resistance level. We have a bit of a triangle here. So with this one, as we can see here, there's a bit of a wedge forming here. I will look for a retest of the high. If it doesn't go through, I'm looking for price to basically come back down into the range. So we have a bit of a pin bar here, but as long as price stays below 0.6420, I'm looking for a drop back towards the bottom of the range here. Price has been trading in this range for quite some time now. So it looks like it's not having any sort of success going through the high. So basically now we're looking for a move towards the bottom of the range. So target here is 0.6320. So bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one has dropped. So we have a nice bearish candle close, looking for price to drop further. And our target here is 1.3170. So bias is bearish. Second target here is 1.3140. So bearish bias here for dollar CAD as well. Gold here, gold is looking bullish, but it's right into our resistance level. It's into the high of this range. So this is where price has traded for a number of days now, almost a week. Now we do have a bullish pin bar here, but price is right into resistance. If it doesn't go through the high, it can come back down towards the bottom of the range here. So be cautious with this one. So I would say bullish bias, but with extreme caution, because if it doesn't go through 17.10, sorry, this is silver. Can't remember if I said gold. So this is silver. So bias is bullish, but if it doesn't go through 17.10, we are looking for price to drop. So for now, bias is bullish, but with extreme caution. Gold here, same thing as silver. We do have a bullish pin bar, but it's right into resistance. So bias is bullish, but again, with caution here, because if it doesn't go through today's high, we could see price go back down. So bias is bullish, but with caution, should it go through, next target is 1480. And then above that, we are looking at 1494. So bullish bias, but again, if it doesn't get through the high, chances are it's coming down. So it would be highly likely that it's going to drop from there if it doesn't make it through. So extreme caution here for our gold. Oil here, oil is looking bearish here. We have a bearish engulfing candle here. So with this one, if oil continues to be bearish, Canadian dollar can drop as well. So if you're trading the Canadian dollar crosses, just be mindful of that, because we could see Canadian dollar drop. So with this one here, oil is bearish. First target is 56.20. And then we have 55.80. So bias is bearish for oil. Copper here, copper is looking bearish as well. It's right into support though, so we do need to be careful. It's held below this previous support resistance level. So overall bias is bearish. I would look for a drop, but again, it is into support here. This is where price had bounced up, so be mindful of that. If it doesn't go through this level, it could turn around. So this is the move we're looking for. So we need a break below the support, and then we could get this next move to the downside. Target here is 2.53, so bearish bias here for copper. If it doesn't break the 2.57 level here, if it doesn't break below the low here, it could go back up. So just be cautious. Bias is bearish though. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin is looking bearish still, looking for it to drop further. So we have bearish bias here for Bitcoin. 8,000 is the level, and then looking at 76.90 here. So bearish bias for Bitcoin. S&P 500, this one has been interesting. We did see price go up here, but now we heard comments from China saying that they may wait and see what happens with the impeachment hearings. Now, should China take that stance, we are not likely to see a trade deal come through. So if we get any more comments like that, that will be negative for the equity markets. And again, we need to pay attention to what's going on. With our with the impeachment hearings as well. But right now the momentum is decreasing, so I would be careful here. But bias overall still holding on to that bullish bias. What can happen is we see this pullback. We could get a pullback into this and then a further move higher. So bias is bullish, and watch out for this type of a move. But if it breaks below this support here, then we're looking for price to come into this 3100 level. But for now, bias is bullish, and next target is 3150. Nasdaq here, same thing. The momentum is not quite the same here. It did break through the highs, but today's candle is neutral, just like this one here. This is a neutral candle close for S&P 500, and same thing here for Nasdaq as well. It's a neutral candle close. So what I would look for is a reaction at today's low. So we could see a drop here. If it holds above 82.80, then chances are we see a further move to the upside. But overall, bias still remains to the upside. So just be mindful of the pullback here, and we'll have to see how the pullback does before we can see which direction this wants to go. So bias is bullish. Next target is 8400. All right, Dow Jones, same thing here. The candle today is smaller, which means less momentum to the upside, but still looking bullish here. We are at 28,100, almost at 28,100 here. So bias is bullish. Now with this one, same thing. I would look for a drop towards the bottom of today's move here. And if it holds above, a further move to the upside. But should it break through the support, then we are likely to see this move back down towards 27,750. For now, though, overall bias still remains to the upside, and the decision factor here will be at 27,950. We'll see how price reacts here. If it holds above, then looking for a further move to the top. Otherwise, we could see a drop. This one's still trading in a DAX, still trading in a range. It hasn't been able to break out of the range. This is neutral. We are seeing a move back and forth. So it's been multiple times now where it hasn't been able to go through the resistance, which means if it drops here, we're looking for a further move to the downside. For now, though, it is neutral, and we have to see price, see how price reacts at the support. Should it break through to the downside, I'm looking for it to come back towards 12,980 level here. For now, though, bias is neutral. And then we have FTSE here. FTSE still trading in this range. It's holding below this 73.30 level. So at this point, I would look for price to drop here. So bias is bearish towards 72.30, which is the bottom of the range. So it's rejected the top of the range here. So I'm looking for a drop towards the bottom of the range. So bias here is bearish. Target is 72.30. Last one here is our Nikkei. Nikkei is making lower highs. It's still sort of trading in that range here, but it's been making a lower highs. There is bullishness in this candle, but as we can see, it's making lower highs, which means we could see this drop back towards the support, 22,960 level here. So for now, bias is neutral because we have a large pin, and the pin is almost the same size as the candle body. So neutral to bearish bias here for Nikkei. Watch out for a move lower towards 22,960 level. So bias is neutral to bearish for this one. All right, so that's all I have. You guys have a great trading day tomorrow. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.